This is an experiment. It's an experiment about how we can produce knowledge in science. We all here are engaged in somehow form of producing knowledge, right? And there are different ways of producing knowledge. Knowledge has to do with language, and there are also like multiple ways of communicating language, knowledge, and with different languages. So the idea is to explore what are the combination and the overlapping zones between the way we produce knowledge in science and the way knowledge is produced in music and in arts, with different languages, different forms of producing knowledge and combining different languages. One very, very good example is jazz. Jazz music is a combination of different languages, different tradition, African music, African rhythms with Western music, right? So today here we have people that have experimented all their life. Abe for me is an explorer, right? He works a lot with, of course, jazz music, but also in combination with traditional Galician music. We have Davide, which for me is I was like reading his CV. Is another explorer. He lives in the middle of nowhere in Lugo, right? In el rural. See, and he goes through villages in Galicia exploring rhythm and discovering, sometimes rediscovering rhythms and music and melodies. And we have Jacobe here, is another explorer. He's a photographer, and he's exploring and rediscovering and imagining new forms of giving value to nature, taking picture of the endemic flora of Galicia. So I finish now. I want the artists here maybe to present themselves and to present this idea that we have to experiment with you and to discuss with you about the relationship between music and science. And I hope that we will have fun. Okay, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. How are you doing? Everything okay? I guess it's been intense. It's a couple of days, right? So we hope this workshop has like a fun part to it, but also like a little of experimental side also. So Botanica is my latest album. You could see the cover of the album there in the screen. And Botanica is born as an experiment, as a really internal urge I have to explore Galicia in its depth, like the vegetation of Galicia, and that's why it's named Botanica. So I wanted like something that could make me fly, that could make me integrate many different aspects in a record. So I didn't only want to record music, but I wanted to live like a really long creative process. And if you're going to live like a long creative process, you want to be with the best in their respective areas, like people that have like really good knowledge on their respective areas. So I really admire Jacobe and I really admire Davide because of their biography, of their story of life. Jacobe has been involved in ecology, he's been an activist ever since the 80s, but at the same time he's a video artist, he's a photographer, he knows all the birds, he knows all the plants. In the case of Davide, he just told me that he started living by himself in the middle of the forest with a sustainable, he's an agriculture guy at the same time, then he's a musician and a traditional musician. He learned the tradition with all the old ladies in Galicia, and he has like a totally sustainable and ecological farm with animals. He has 7 horses. So he lives this type of hip type of thing that is hopefully coming. And you guys know more about that than me. He's been living like that ever since 96. Vives desde jeito? ¿Desde qué ano?
Desde que tengo 19 anos.
19, ou seja...
Hai 20.
20 years ago, he's been living like that. His house is like a really it's a paradise. Like it's in Liulfe, in Lugo, really beautiful place. And his place, this project has a lot to do with his place. It has a lot to do with traveling with Jacobe. So like a couple of years ago, two and a half years ago, I started the creative process of Botanica. And I started wanting to know more about the species and really feeling how the species could, in a way, draw a map with different types of features that could be present in the work, in the CD, but also in the live experiences we do of the CD. This is the first time we do like this bare experience of just having the video artist, just having the singer and traditional percussionist and the piano, because our band is usually an octet with vibraphone. Vibraphone is tenor sax, guitar, piano, voice and percussion. It has double bass, drums, dancer, video artist. So it's 9 people on the stage. But I like when Mario told me to do this talk and to do this workshop, I thought of having like the minimum expression of the project, because it's where the three main languages that are involved here meet for real, which is the traditional music of Galicia and the traditional refrains of Galicia, the popular literature, the one that is transmitted not only via rhythms, that he plays both instruments like in an angelical way, he really plays those instruments, you'll see, but also the texts and the connection with nature in those texts, which is, in my opinion, is high philosophy. Those texts are amazing, like the depth they have. And especially when I was translating them to English, you know what happens with translation, that you find new angles. In your tongue language, you don't find those angles. Translated to English, like they grow somehow. Some dimensions of the text grow. And when I was reading some texts translated to English, I was like, wow, this is philosophy. It's really like a metaphor of the behavior of the plants that connects with the behavior of humans, and that it really amazed me. So in that way, he was really helpful. With Jacobi, in other way, he was really helpful too, because he knows where the species of all the trees, all the plants are in Galicia, and we traveled a lot, and we did like a big exercise of imagination, and him not only knowing the species, but being an artist himself was like a really strong and fruitful creative process, like long one, like a year and a half before we recorded the CD. So in essence, Botanica is dedicated to the vegetation of Galicia, and in essence, I try to feature texts that, in a way, say a lot about that species, that particular tree or flower or herb. And I wanted to connect also the other 2 languages. My own, which is mostly jazz music and experimental music, piano music, and the tradition of Galicia. One of the most attractive things I wanted to do, and I really find it attractive today because it starts growing musically, is that I try to put all the rhythms he does in the pandeireta, which is a tambourine, Galician tambourine, pandeireta, and in the pandeiro, to put those relations of forces, those dynamic relations in the piano, to put harmony to a tambourine in a way. And those traditional rhythms, you know how they work in popular music. They are transmitted from generation to generation to generation to generation. So the way they are produced is so genuine, is so authentic, that is like, wow, either you take it or you leave it. But it's clear that it is in a certain way. And I really loved being exposed to this richness. And I hope you guys enjoy it tonight. We're going to start with a tree, which is the birch, which is like a really bipolar tree in a way. In wintertime, it reminds me of a sorcerer. So the piece I wrote is called "Naked Sorceress." So it's like a witch, kind of yes, like a sorceress. So naked sorceress because of the branch that gets naked and is white and is like is really like an epiphany to watch them in wintertime. And in the springtime, with the leaves, it's like a different tree. It looks like a different tree. So I wrote like a diptych for the album, which is the birch in wintertime and the birch in springtime. We'll play only the birch in wintertime, and I want to tell you about the refrain, both refrains that are present in the piece. The first one is I wrote it. And it's just like a refrain that talks about this sorceress. So it says, My mother and your mother is like an initiation in the whole work of Botanica. It's the first tune. My mother and your mother know all the good herbs. Let them rip them off, because they will bring all the fears. They will destroy all the fears, or they will dissipate all the fears. So that's like a call, which is for me is the most important meaning of this project is to value the value of the immaterial and symbolic things that are present in the vegetation, that produce culture. They produce like a real value that is not even kidding associated with price most of the time, but is real value. And the second one, which is the traditional one, it appeals in a way to a sustainable use of the tree, which is by the people that make traditional shoes, clocks. You know, clocks, wooden clocks. We call them thokas, wooden clocks. So that second text says, my mother, again, but this is the traditional one, wants a pair of clocks. Those that are made out of the birch of this tree. Let them come from Vilalba, which is a town in Galicia. She wants those that they have slippers inside. So this is a traditional song. Obviously in Galego it rhymes, which is Miña nai quere unhas tocas branquillas de bidueira, deixamas vir de Vilalba, which is the town, daquelas que fan de chinela. So in Galego, obviously it rhymes, not in English, but you get the sense. So this first piece is called Menciñeira Nua, which is the naked sorceress. So while we play, he'll project the images of the creative process we did together, because we did this like an open thing, taking the images of the species we finally would use in the record. So he does this work in real time. So Menciñeira Nua, hope you like it. Chi.
daquelas que hai de chinela.
The birch in winter time. Okay, so we'll go on with a piece dedicated to the leaf of the chestnut tree, and this one is the lyrics are amazing. It's another traditional refrain, and the lyrics of this one say, "Oh, the leaf of the chestnut tree, when it's too green, it doesn't roar, it doesn't sound, it doesn't." It doesn't make the noise. It is a waste of time to chase people that run away from you. That's what it says. So it's like, if it's too green to roar, it's not ready for its purpose. So, but it's like a traditional refrain that says, connects those two things, which I find really amazing, because in a way that's like the creation of meaning. Like knowing how to read in a way the species, the behavior of the species, and that's the basis probably of language. I just want to read like a really brilliant quote from Italo Calvino about the words, which says, "The word connects the visible trace with the invisible thing, the absent thing, the thing that is desired or feared. The word is like a fragile emergency bridge flung over an abyss." So it's like the word is not reality. It's an invitation. It's a fragile bridge that invites you to the reality in a way. It's something in the line of what you were talking about previously. So in a way, I think these words that as the same as the rhythms, that you'll hear a traditional rhythm of Galicia, which is called maneo. It's like a fast jota, shota. The maneo is the name of the dance, actually. It's music that is usually dance. And it's like a really sensual dance. Es muy sensual la danza do maneo, ¿verdad? Como de...
Mais sexual.
Sexual, okay, directamente. More sexual. Okay, I thought he was like saying no on the other side, even more. So, in a way, the maneo, I think they dance it like really muy despacio con los pés, ¿verdad?
Lenta y pesada. Así.
It's weighty and they take their time to move the feet. So it has that.
Visceral también.
It's really visceral. So that's the maneo, the dance, and the shot is a traditional rhythm. So I think, as rhythms, the texts present in these traditional refrains, I think they have the same impact. That's why I said previously that it's like philosophy somehow, because it's the collective being. What the popular music and popular texts have that power. It's a collective being that is, in a way, filtrating the brilliance of those thoughts. And maybe the next generation adds something or takes something out. You know how it works. So when it comes to us in our generation, if you connect with that depth, it's like really amazing. So I think the words do the same as traditional rhythms. They go through generations in a way like a river, like traveling and getting sediments out to the surface and attaining in a way more depth every generation that passes. And this one is amazing. In Galego, it sounds is the first one, which is popular. Then I wrote the rest of the text. But the popular one says this about the green leaf not roaring. So when it roars, is that that person, the part of the metaphor, that person would be ready for you, and you don't have to chase somebody that doesn't want to be with you, right? So the same with the roar. So I hope you enjoy it. It's a folha do castiñeiro, which is the leaf of the chestnut tree.
Ai apollado castiñeiro, ai cando está verde non roxe, ai chamanlle tempo perdido, ai andar atrás de quen foxe, ai la 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 la, ai la 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 la. Ai o castiro de liulpe, ai ten a folla revirada, ai que lle reviro o aire, hai unha mañá de xiada, a la 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 la, a la 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 la. Ai se apuntada, vai sencillo, ai non lle teñas tanto medo, ai o tempo leva unha agulla, ai que cose picha, ale le 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 la. As pedriñas que move o río, vai non as galegas, hai o recordo que unha chave, hai que abra as portas do céu, ai la 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 la, ai la 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 la. Lela 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 lela, lela 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 lela, ai lela 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 lela, ai la lela 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 lela.
It was the leaf of the chestnut tree. We'll play 4 pieces in a row that they form a suite, like a suite in 4 mini movements. And I tell you about this experience. We visited the Devesa da Rogueira, which is in the Coral Mountains, really amazing mountains in Galicia. And as Jacobe and I visited that place, we were there for a couple of days. We found like a mixed forest, a really famous mixed forest, which is Devesa da Rogueira, this place. And I had with me the Metamorphoses of Ovid, the book, the mythology book, Metamorphoses. And I was reading like different mythologies, and we were, during our walks, we were talking about mythology. And we found that the Devesa, this forest, has Narcissus in the first stages. It's like not really high. ¿Qué altura tan?
Desde 300 a 1900.
Okay, it's like around 2,000 meters. the highest. So it's from 300. So in the 300 place, like the lowest, they have Narcissus. So I started connecting ideas, and I found this really crazy idea of writing the stages of the human being, of the person, the stages of men historically, but the stages of the person, man or woman, through 4 different species. So the first one, the Narcissus, and I used the myth of Narcissus as wrote by Ovid in a translation to Gallego. Second stage, I used the beech, we call it falla, Haya in Spanish. It's a tree that is more gregarious. It's a tree that likes to grow really tall. It's a tree that has a certain behavior that seemed to me like something we would do in our second stage of life, not being so egocentrical as Narciso, who fell in love with himself. So the falla, the second tree I use in this suite is the beech in English. So it's really assertive. It's like and it's really economical. Really economical. It uses like the resources in a really clever way. So I use for fire, for beech, I use a fantastic text I found of a British poet named Richard Aldington, and the text says in English, and I translated it to Gallego, but the original text in English says, "The beech leaves are silver for lack of the tree blood," because the tree saves the, how do you call savia in English? The blood of the tree. Sav. It wants to save it. It doesn't want to use it all. So the beech leaves are silver for lack of the tree blood. At your kiss, my lips become like the autumn beech's leaves. That's the original poem. So I translated it to Gallego, and in a way, it represents that second stage. Third stage, which is upper in the forest of the Courel, they have a lot of chestnuts, the chestnut tree. So the chestnuts, the fruit, which actually is a seed, I think, technically it's a seed, it's not a fruit, but I wanted it to represent maturity. In a way, like a life around 40, your 40-somethings, that you're less competitive in a way, you're probably more collaborative with other people, and in certain things that go slower. So the refrain I found is a traditional one. It says, the chestnut in the husk, I know very well what it does. If it's too small, it stays growing. If it's ready, it falls, which is as life it is. It's like obvious, but it's something that has to do a lot with maturity, with letting the things that really are for you being for you, and discarding things that obviously are not for you. So that's the third stage. And the fourth stage is represented by a sacred tree in many cultures. Galicia is not an exception, which is the yew. We call it teixo. In Spanish, tejo, the yew. That one lives in the upper part of the Courel. And that one represents like the elders, old age, with the bifurcation that old age has. It can be poisonous in a way, and it can be like really wise and sacred in a way. So I found two stories, two myths in a way. One is a Celtic myth, and the other one is a myth about when the Romans conquered Galicia. The one when the Romans conquered Galicia, it talks about the Galician people in Monte Medulio, which was one of the entrances from Castilla or Asturias. That's really controversial still today, to Galicia. It's said that the inhabitants of the population of Galicia back then, before the Romans, they committed mass suicide, eating the poisonous parts of the yew. Except for the fruit is called moco, the red fruit. The rest of the tree is poison. It's like you can die eating it. So it is said that they committed a mass suicide before the Romans conquered them. That's the first one. And the second story is a Celtic one, which I really love, which says that the really poetic one. It says that the tree keeps the secrets that a person who just died didn't tell to nobody. Keeps the secrets, and the secrets go up from the roots to the branches, and they leave to space through the leaves, like you know, the whole communication from bottom to the air, like it leaves them freely to the wind. That's the end of that text, and that's a Celtic myth that Davide told me. Then in his village, na tua vila falaches con aquel vello, co do teixo, co das raíces. E que foi o que lle dixeches? I'll translate.
Díxenlle que si cortaba ese teixo que lle iba a caer unha maldición e que todos os seus ancestros iban a ir a por él.
Without me knowing that this Celtic thing, that he knows from family and from in a way ancestral knowledge, that happens, and that myth was living here in Galicia. Like he knew about it, and he told an old man that wanted to cut a ewe what would happen if he did it. He warned him, like, you're gonna have like a bad spell on you, like how do you call it, like a curse. Exactly. So he didn't cut it, right? No lo cortó.
Está vivo.
He's alive. So this is a suite in 4 movements. Remember, like the first one, we will do Narcissus. Second one, we will do Falla, which is beach. Third one, we'll do the chestnut. Fourth one, we'll do the yew. And it's all united, okay? So it's a piece in 4 movements. Sí, facémonos xuntiñas.
Eu son ti, xa sei, non me engana a miña imaxe. Ardo de amor por min, en lapas que prendo e padezo. Quen son seductor, seducido, cal seducción esta miña, en min está o meu querer, a riqueza mísero faime. Se eu pudesse, oxalá, do corpo meu desprenderme, extrañaré la diamante do que amo arredar, quererme. Tórname febles de pena, xa non me queda na vida longa estadía. que agonío na idade primeira. Morrer non me pesa. Si hei de deixar con morrer esta pena. Tórname feble esta pena, xa non me queda na vida longa estadía. Porque agonío na idade primeira. Morrer non me pesa. Si hei de deixar con morrer esta pena. Afállate en follas de prata por falta de sangre nas ponlas. Durante o teu bico meus beizos en follas de outono se torna. A castaña no ourizo eu ben sei o que ela fai. Si é pequena ela medra, si é madura ela cai. Hoy vos no monte medulio, uns anos antes de Cristo, cando os galaicos fixeron no canto de ser escravo, renunciar a propia vida co cruel veleno do teixo. Teixo colle os segredos que un morto non dixo en vida. Soben primeiro da terra, chegan depois ata as ponlas e acaban libres o vento. Cando saen polas follas.
Thank you very much. We're going to play our last piece, which is a diptych, and I want to leave some room for Q&A, which I particularly will find very interesting. So you can ask any question to Jacobe, to Davide, or to me, and we'll be pleased to answer them. So I want to introduce again Jacobe Melendres. Davide Salvado. My name is Abe Rábade. Thank you. Thank you. So this last one is dedicated to the oak. The oak is probably the king of trees in Galicia. O Carballo é rei das árvores en Galicia, non un pouco. Bueno, haberá varios, pero... So, I guess you know about the alphabet of the trees in the Celtic culture. I guess you heard about it. So the letter for the oak is in Gaelic, I think, is D for duir, which is the way you say oak in Gaelic, duir. So like fern is the F, like different names. So they have like an alphabet of trees, which is a thing I find really amazing as a creation of meaning. To have an alphabet of trees in itself is like really, really brilliant, really beautiful. So the oak, duir, represents a door, and this is like a Celtic myth, a door that in a way is revolving in between the worlds of the living creatures and the world of death. So I wanted to write this piece having that in consideration, like that meaning of the oak. So I found two traditional refrains in Galician that in a way I wanted them to represent the world of the death, or the signs of the deaf people in our living lives, and something really humoresque, like something really funny in a way, like a traditional text that had some humor on it, and that's the second part of the piece. So the piece starts like really dark. We do like a little intro, which is a fugue. A three-voice little fugue with a traditional rhythmic rhythm in pandero, which is a Castilian rhythm, which is called brincao. É brincao, ¿verdad? O cinco.
Cinco é brincao.
Brincao.
No sorteado.
Sorteado? Sim.
Tácate, 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 tácate.
Sorteado.
Sorteado.
Okay, the name of the rhythm is sorteado. So I built like a fugue in 3 parts on top of a traditional rhythmic from Pandera, and we start with that. It's like an intro to the piece of the oaks. So the piece of the oaks, you'll find that it is divided in 2 different moods. First mood is really dark, so that would be the life of the death somehow. And the refrain I chose for that part is a traditional one, and it says, Antoniño, sete fores, which is Antoniño is Anthony. It's the name of this guy. Antoniño, if you go away, leave a remembrance for me. In each green oak, a little branch of hope. That's what it says. Which is like, send me a sign from the world of the dead. It's amazing. It's a traditional one. So that's like the myth, the Celtic myth, present in that refrain, right? And the second one, which is in the major part of the piece, more joyful, and it's a different part of the piece, I chose one that says, I've never seen a crooked or a twisted. I've never seen a twisted oak have straight branches. I've never seen a married man have a good-looking beard. So see, it's like again, taking from the appearance of the tree, or the behavior of the tree, something that happens in human life. Like the image of the metaphor. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. The name of this piece is, the first part is Alala Fugado, because in the middle of the fugues, there's like tiny episodes where he sings an alala. Alala is a traditional Galician song that you end up singing those songs saying the syllables la 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 la. That's why it's called alala. So he sings a couple of alalas in between the fugue, in between the 3-part fugue, and then we do the piece of the oaks. The name of the piece of the oaks is Carballesa de Duir, dedicated to Duir. Carballesa is a traditional dance, a muñeira. This rhythm you'll hear, the first one is sentado? No. ¿Asentado? ¿Cómo era o nome do ritmo? Asentado, sentado por allá.
Sorteado.
Sorteado, okay. Which means sorted, okay? Sorteado. And the second rhythm, which is Galician, is a muñeira bella, which is a muñeira is really typical rhythm from Galicia, and this type is muñeira bella. It has like a Disling accent in the second beat. You'll hear it. And I mixed this traditional rhythm of Galicia, you'll hear it with like an Afro-Cuban thing on the left hand, because it really goes together. It rhymes somehow. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Un poco muy rápido. Sorteado. So some Q&A. Please ask questions, because it's the fun part.
I have a question. Maybe we need the mic, right?
Somebody over there, I think.
Yeah. I will break once. I have a question for
you
Davide.
have one, okay.
Davide, yeah. Maybe you can translate.
I translate, I will.
Yeah. And then I will ask.
Tengo una preguntinha para ti.
the people that are here, we have been discussing yesterday and today and tomorrow about different forms of organization, different way of organizing, because we really think that the future is about exploring different way of organizing our life, the way we live together.
Di que estes días estiveron explorando maneiras de organización, de vivir xuntos, e que creo que o futuro vai ir por esa vía.
Yes, because we are on the route, which is societal, right? We think that we are going towards a disaster. Right?
Porque imos cara a un desastre suicida pola outra vía.
Yeah, and why? Because we are organizing life in production in a way that is totally unsustainable.
Porque organizamos a produción a vida de unha forma que é completamente insostible. ¿No?
So, a miña pregunta para ti, my question to you is, what would you save of traditional way of living in Galicia, and what you would you abandon?
Que salvarías do modo de vida tradicional galego e que abandonarías?
Pois acollería e acollo a forma de cultivar, a forma de tratar os maiores.
He would save the way of harvesting and the way of treating the old people. He would save that.
A forma de intervir na paisaxe tradicional.
The traditional way of intervening in the landscape, the traditional one.
E, sobre todo, que está perdidísimo, é a comunidade, o compartir as cousas, que a aldea sexa unha casa, non sexan moitas casas individuais, sino que sexa unha casa aberta, que todo o mundo vai de unha a outra dependendo das necesidades.
And the sense of community, that the village is a multi-house,
Si nos
it's a poly-house, not a particular house, like a net of houses that the neighbors can go from one to the other. That's the traditional way of life. It is lost almost, but still.
Si nos organizamos, follamos todos.
So he literally says, if we organize ourselves, we'll all have sex. He didn't say have sex, but that's the meaning.
É unha cuestión de organización sempre.
It's a matter of organization.
Venir hasta mi aldea.
Welcome to my village. So you had a question, right? As cousas que abandonarías.
Cousas que abandonaría o individualismo actual.
Individualism.
Abandonaría as formas de traballar a terra que non son sostenibles nin para a terra nin para un mesmo, que
The ways
son
of
insalubres.
working the fields that are not sustainable que non son sostenibles para a terra e para
Nin para nós, o sea, usar mierda, químicos e cousas que non, o sea, o estilo de vida
chemicals that are not good for the food or for the population that is farming.
E abandonaría esa idea de ese falocratismo ou ese machismo absoluto que existe na sociedade e que non é sostible.
He would abandon phallocentrism or sexism that is in society and that is not sustainable either.
Creo. Moitísimas máis cousas.
And many other things.
Hi, is this working? No.
It works for the recording. Like they are video recording, so they need sound.
Yeah, but is it working?
For them, it is.
Bien. Sorry. Thank you. That was so inspirational. How you bring together sources and tell new stories about landscapes. I wanted to know more about the process of researching, which you obviously is incredibly informed by walks through landscapes and talking to people, and how you revive these kind of sources. Because I'm a historian and I'm really interested in how you can bring sources back to life and reinvent tradition. That's my first question. Sorry, it's a long one.
I loved your question. I mean, the process was really open from the beginning. Like I had in mind, I was reading many things. I told you about the Metamorphosis of Ovid. I was reading this fabulous book that I talked to Manuel about it, the 1,000 Plateaus by Deleuze and Guattari. And the concept of territorialization, his concepts that are amazing on the planes of consistency. He talks a lot about the substrata of the earth and how, and the rhizomas, the rhizomes, So in a way, it's really, parts of that book are really dense, but some others are really, metaphorically, they're really potent to open your mind about this thing I was telling you about. The idea of the map is really powerful in that book too. The idea of different features in a map that coexist. So in my mind, when I started this process, like I think the quote is from Mark Twain, that one doesn't write about the stuff he knows, one does write about the stuff he wants to know about. So that's a great one. I think that's like, if you want to know about it, and in a way I had a sense of guilt that I was from Galicia, I lived in the States for 5 years, I explored jazz music, I explored some traditional Galician music also, but I had no clue, not really, but I didn't have a lot of information about the vegetation of this country. Yeah, go ahead.
On that topic, would you ever write about eucalyptus? Would you write?
He proposed it. Propuseste escribir sobre eucalipto.
Non, propuxo Abe. Eu digo, David.
Que propuxen?
Que escribiu sobre eucalipto, escribiu unha peza de eucalipto.
Sí.
And in a way, I mean, my beauty side, my beauty, you know, my aesthetic side won the battle, in a way. Like, I left it out. Maybe I shouldn't have, but I think Botanica is going to have a second part. So I'll think about that, for sure.
Thank you.
So, and the last thing I would like to add is that as the process was really open from the beginning, like, and Jacobe knows about this, we started like with 20-something species. And we, you know, they came down to 14 that are in the album, that are a lot. But that process of finding good lyrics for this song, even finding the musical structure from the structure of a tree, which is like something really freaky, you know, something really strange to do, but that makes the creative process really, really powerful. I love the analogic way of thinking, like thinking in metaphors, like trying to replicate, you know, like biomimicry, that type of stuff, trying to replicate what happens in any environment, in other environment. I think that brings light to that other environment. And this work has a lot of that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm just laughing because the first day we did a workshop where we were envisaging our scholarship as water and flows of water. And so we were also thinking in metaphor.
Hi, thank you so much. It was really fascinating and fantastic. And so I entered the discussion and the music from a very, how to say it, I mean, of course, humans are everywhere and at the back, in the front, everywhere. They are mediating everything. Mm-hmm. But when I was looking at the pictures, I was, with your music and the pictures, I was into this very different space where I was not thinking about humans.
Good.
And then there was a human dancing, and all I could think of is that how the human is killing the grass.
Wow.
And then of course it was a full human, and that reminded me, brought me back of the sheer violence of our existence. Uh-huh. And then it was still a human entangled with the process of what's going on. But then we move on to the next intervention of human, which is just the hands picking something from the plant, and that was an ultimate act of violence, the dehumanized version of taking something from the nature. And I mean, this is my interpretation. How did you, when you brought these two humans? Of course, one is your dancer, the artist, but the other, why did you choose to pick something from the tree in this whole? Very beautiful.
Because it's the only part of the tree that is not poisoned. That one. And in a way, I think that's I mean, it's the fruit of the tree, which will fall anyway, right? I don't know. I mean, but let's ask the artist. ¿Por qué escolliches que aparezan humanos nas imaxes, non? Que aparece Miguel bailando. Ela o que entendiches un pouco que dixo. claro, para David tamén, o que lle choca é que foi capaz de abstraerse totalmente entre a música e as imaxes e entrar nun mundo que é como unha dimensión non humana, non, simbólica, pero que de repente as dúas aparicións humanas que hai, tanto o bailarín, cando aparece Miguel, como, sobre todo, o que lle parece un acto de violencia no dado contexto, digo con certo humor, o sea, tampouco creo que o diga dunha forma como completamente tallante, é o feito de sacar algo dunha planta, non? Que, entón...
Hai unha parte importante do proceso é que durante as visitas que fixemos a estes bosques, a estes paisaxes, visitamos tamén paisanaxe. Era unha...
When we visited these trees, these places where the trees or the species were, we also visit people that work with, either with those species or that work directly with something related to nature, to the environment of where those species are.
Intentamos coñecer especies, pero tamén experiencias de resistencia no rural alternativas.
So we try to learn about the species, but also resistance in the ¿cómo se llama? Medio rural, ¿cómo se llama en inglés? Countryside. That people organize like activists. We met some, and one of the parts of this project, and we are going to start doing this in the summer, we're going to play in those places where these actions take. We're going Botanica. We're gonna in a way pay back the inspiration in those places, and we're going to do concerts that are going to be mostly acoustic, and they're going to be intertwined with the activities of these activists in that place. So it's like bringing the stage to the forest. That's one idea we have. We have one concert already, and we hope to have more. So keep going. Sigue, que sigo traduciendo.
Fundamental era vincular o proxecto non só con naturalismo, sino con ecoloxismo. Es decir, tomar unha postura social respecto á protección.
The idea was to link the project with ecologism directly, not only with naturalism.
O sistema foi un pouco escoitar aos que resisten dunha forma alternativa ecoloxista no medio natural. Escoitalos xa significaba un apoio, non? E despois de escoitalos, o que estaba comentando agora, devolverlles a voz, darlles voz a eles, non? Que non só fora natureza sin humanidade, non?
So the idea was to give voice, that the project could give voice to people who are activists, who are resisting in rural areas, hard conditions, and sometimes things that are directly like aberrations that go on with. I'm thinking about the schist industry, for instance, in Galicia, industria da pizarra. Yes. Many things we saw that were really shocking. And there are a few people that they are trying to buy them with money, like everywhere. Pero la pregunta sobre o moco.
Also just about because only the hands and not the person.
Porque as mans e non a persoa. É dicir, ela chama a atención porque decidiches meter a imaxe de alguén arrancando o moco. Eu dixenlle que no fondo o moco é a única parte que non é venenosa do teixo. Pero por que decidiches puñer soamente a man e non a unha persoa quitando? Because he was ugly. David is joking.
Coincide o plano, non? O plano é un macro, e no macro entra unha man.
It's a macro frame, and he could only, he's giving you the technical excuse, I think. Estás dando unha excusa técnica. Pero bueno, basicamente é porque o moco é a única parte é salientable. I mean, the answer is that the fruit of the U is the only part that is healthy of the tree. I think that's the point. But I get your point that you got into like an onirical space, and the humans in the images got you away from that space. Right?
Much more reduction that the human is reduced to just the hands.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, so I wanted to maybe reflect a little bit on what I was thinking while I was listening to and watching the performance.
Nice.
To me, I was kind of feeling like a little bit of envy in the sense that I was focusing on the sort of emotions and the embodied experience of being here listening to your creation and the performance of it. And I was thinking, I wish that when I'm writing something, like I'm writing a piece, whoever is reading my text can experience something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was thinking, what is stopping us from achieving this? And often is the fact that, you know, like sometimes I think that as writers, like we focus more on the actual message than the way we tell the story.
And the form of the message.
And the form of the message.
More content than form.
And we forget that, you know, there are people reading or work, and they are real people, and I think we owe them, like, we are kind of like asking them for their time to read our work, and they trust us in reading what we produce and dedicate time to that, but we don't give them that, I think, like, or maybe that pleasure in the stuff that they read. So, yeah, I felt that envy in the sense that, you know, like, why can we not do that? And the other thing is, like, when you are creating, how much of this creative process is focused on the audience and the way you think the audience will perceive that, or the emotions you will create in the audience, and how much of it is just like, you know, the stuff you want to produce.
It's a dialogue between both. This is really, really, really good question.
Can I add something? Just
of course.
Do you mind to add music to one of our papers?
Of course, I'll do it. I love freaky stuff, you know. It's a nice question, and I think form and like form, content, or matter and substance, like Deleuze and Guattari have wonderful thoughts about this in that book. There's a chapter, I think the second chapter, is called the bifurcation. It's dedicated to the lobsters, because he finds the dualism. He finds that dualism a fake one. In a way, he defends that there's form in the content, and there's content in the form, and they are like really intertwined, and you can't really define them. I mean, you can notice which one is which, but you cannot really separate them. I think it works like he uses molar versus molecular. He defends it works like a molecule. And I think that molecule happens also in the way we, at least this project, in the way I decided to approach it. Because for me, it is really important that the people who listen to this project, they have an enhanced experience of what I've written. But I don't want to guide them too much. See what I mean? I want to propose something which is, this is the species, this is the tree I wrote about, this is the text, this is the music. But I love that people don't feel like, I think it's one of the worst parts of this time we are living, is that governments, corporations, media, they think we are stupid. They think we are little kids, that we need protection, we need guidance all the time, and we need like a compartmental knowledge. Knowledge is not compartmental. Knowledge, that the Greeks knew that very well. Knowledge is integrated. Real knowledge is integrated. Integrated in a personal and non-transferable way, which is what experience is about. That's what I believe in. And from that standpoint, my goal as an artist is to propose something. But it's to propose something that the audience, the people who take it, they have to make it their own. And it's more about connotation than denotation. That's my view. So in a way, I want people to have an enhanced experience. Like that's the reason why I decided to put the actual images of the creative process during the performances. And that's the reason why a really good part of the project is open. Like we keep changing lyrics. Today we change a part of a poem because we liked the autumn part from the translation better than the other one. There's a quote I wanted to read today to you guys, which is, she's like a of love relationships, this woman. Her name is Esther Perel. I really find her really clever. I love this woman. And she has a thought about what a healthy relationship should be about that I love, that I find really attractive. And I think that's really, like, you can extrapolate that thought of her to any relationship, to an artistic relationship. And her thought is, a healthy relationship is a foundation with wings. Isn't that beautiful? It's a foundation with wings. So it has to be alive. It has to change, because we all change. Imagine what is playing this repertoire, like Jacobe, David, and I, tomorrow, next week, and to do strictly the same. That's death. You see what I mean? So in a way, you have to leave a couple of windows open for the project to refresh itself, to change, to move, to mutate. That's how I look at it. And obviously, you know, I come from the jazz world. We do that all the time. He comes from the traditional music world. They do that all the time. Like they are playing with form. They're okay. I enter now. I don't enter. No problem. Nobody's gonna punish you. So that's my view. And I really like that envy you have, because I think that's healthy envy. And I think the relationship between matter and substance, or between form and content, is a really interesting one. It's a gravitation. It's like a thought I have. I always talk about this in the class. Mario is doing a jazz seminar with me for a couple. This is the second year, and we talk in his class. I don't know why, but we end up talking a lot of philosophy in his class. So I love a metaphor. I don't really like this philosopher. I mean, I don't like his I like his philosophy. I don't like his life. Heidegger, talking about. But this image is really great, like the image of water in a glass or water in a cup. I think that's the relationship between form and substance. The water is free inside a structure. So the structure holds a fluid content. And the content can be fluid because it's held by a structure. There is really an interesting relationship. So writing an essay or writing a text, I find it really attractive. I mean, that's why poetry is amazing, right? Because a good poem is a world in itself, a world of meaning in itself. Yeah.
I was going to say, maybe you're too disagrees with that.
Yeah.
Or
Where's it? Okay. Yeah. First of all, thank you very much. It was just really, really beautiful. It's not a clear question, I guess. What I have is just a comment or something, a thought.
Sure.
Yeah. So in research, we're saying we need much more interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary approaches where different disciplines from for example, geography and business and biology, they all come together, right, to answer these complex questions that we have to answer. And you're very interdisciplinary, right? You have the music, you have normally even dance, you have the pictures, and so on and so forth. So that's definitely very, very beautiful. But then again, I also see how I start looking at the pictures, and it kind of catches all of my attention. I have this moment where I'm thinking, oh, I lost the music, and I have to close my eyes to get back to the music and really feel the music, and I have to kind of, block something out, right? And so there's kind of this tension of you bringing it together, but then it's sometimes also overwhelming, or
they overlap, or they take you away from the music. Yeah, so I see your point.
I don't know. That was just my thought, or maybe. How did it develop for you? How do other people react to having this combination? Yeah,
I had doubts when we did the first show with the whole band, with the octet, and with dance, and with images. Like I thought we would use sparse images, but in the stage we did it like in a big theater. The setting, like the presence of the band was so powerful, like a full octet with a dancer. That the images really, they were in the background, in a cyclogram, and I like them all the time. Mostly because they are really poetic, they are not really fast, and in a way they can catch easily your attention, obviously. We are a visual culture. You know that Yuval Noah Harari, the famous historian from Israel, he defends that our senses that are not hearing and seeing are going to be wasted in the next generations because we don't use them. We are always using sight and see what I mean? Like people, and in this project that was a fundamental part of the project for me was to touch the leaves, the trees, the sense of touch, which was the smell, to taste some things. I'm eating herbs all day. I'm eating cardamom. I'm eating cloves, like things that I wouldn't eat 3 or 4 years ago. And I really appreciate those flavors that are not sugary. They are strong in a different way, or they are powerful in a different way. He eats a lot of that stuff. He eats a lot of flowers. He knows all the plants too. Te comes en ensaladas, da horta, todo, ¿no?
Fumo también.
He smokes too. He's always like doing little quotations. But answering to your question, I see your point. Like as we are, we are a visual culture. That can take us away. It can take our attention away from the music. I guess it has to do with with how we integrate those two parts. Maybe the setting, like the image was really close, or I don't know. But I take that note. Yeah. For future performances. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for that. I want to reflect on one thing that really touched me, that I like, is to see you being in resonance with each other. I really like how you produce music. I mean, I know it's a jazz thing, but I think it's always with music that you resonate. It's something in your body. I mean, here, in the seats, when we started clapping, that's where we joined in, but there's a thing about connection and resonance that's very strong in music that I like. That's sad. And listening to you, I think there's something in it that is about distance that I think is worth thinking about. And in the end, there comes my question, where it leads all up to. I think, so looking at the video, the gaze is something of distance. It's not necessarily of resonance, it can be, but putting a camera between you and the object is also kind of like a violent act. And especially in research, and we share that, there is a history of like the gaze as a violence towards the or objectify the other that is, that you're gazing upon. It doesn't really matter, it's other people or it's nature, but there is something violent about, the gaze. And it resonates a bit with what you said, you're writing about nature and you read books about. There is this distance in between. And I'm wondering, when do you access the resonance that you need for your music, or, and where do you need the distance to write about? And I have a second question. Have you tried to collaborate with nature? Have you tried to collaborate with a tree, for instance, for your music?
Musically.
Yeah,
I mean, the project the project was born that way, and most songs, or some songs, the melodies were originally written being there. But see, there's a thing, and I keep coming back to Deleuze and Guattari, but there's a mechanistic aspect in this. This is fiction. Don't forget. Nature is nature, with us or without us. Like there's this wonderful poem by, it's not Emily Dickinson, it's a British poet, I don't remember her name now. It's an amazing poem, really beautiful but really sad at the same time. She writes how the species wouldn't give a damn if the human race disappears tomorrow. That's what the poem is about. And it's really beautiful images, like these birds would keep singing, and really beautiful images, really powerful images. But the message is that they wouldn't care. So what I mean is that nature doesn't need us to intervene with it, to be with it. Sorry?
We're part of nature, we're apart.
We-
You know, like, yeah.
We tend to anthropomorphize everything. We tend to moralize, even about nature. We tend to make nature good, by definition. So all those things are obviously naive. But what I mean with this is an artistic product is fiction, always. And even being inspired by nature, like this is the case. And I see your point totally. And I'm just framing it, framing it. And I take the, I see totally your point of the gaze. It's like artificial in a way. If you talk about resonance, like really sounding resonance, and you have a recorded image projected in a screen, there's not a distortion, but there's like a different plane going on, two different planes going on at the same time. But I also think that not being the concert in nature, we can all understand that that's like a part of the fiction, and collaborating with nature. Yeah, and what Jacobi was saying, part of this project has to do with that, has to do with people who are real activists on the ground, doing the concerts like with a minimum intervention, like with a minimum violence towards the environment. Like we'll bring a real piano in the environment, but probably we won't have like mics, or we will play acoustic there. And the idea is to integrate the project where the inspiration of the project comes from. That's the idea. You can say something else if you want. I mean, like, if you have something to argue, you can. We can later. Good. Okay. Nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi. Many thanks again, and I have a performance question and an organization question, and if you're able to combine the two, that would be ideal. So first is. Yeah, no pressure, but I have no idea if they can be combined, but if they can, even better. So one thing is, I assume the performance has many elements that have to do with the technical limitations. So you spoke about distance. So there is this distance that, the resonance was not that evident with how it was between you two, and I was thinking, so I assume in other performances you don't have to be that far apart, the video artist, that I assume you did it because you would be blocking the screen or something. But I was wondering, is there any way that, in my understanding, is that the video artist's contribution was recorded, whereas yours was produced on the spot, and so you had more freedom in adapting to...
He adapts too. He can change the speed. He's adapting the images in real time.
Okay, so that it flows with the rhythm.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Okay, so that was the musical
And
question.
usually he's not in stage. Like when we do it in theater, he doesn't appear on stage, and that's the reason why we wanted to integrate him in stage. But when we did the first presentation in Santiago with the whole band, he wasn't in the stage. He was like projecting from the background.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe I would like to ask your take as well, so that how do you feel yourself participating in the performance beyond the contribution of the video? Is the more embodied experience. How is your body present, and how do you see that?
You want me to ask Jacobi, to ask him. Como sientes a tua experiencia de interacción coa música na proxección das imaxes? Porque ele non sabía se o que estabas utilizando era unha grabación pura dura, pero xa lle dixen que o que estabas facendo era adaptando as velocidades en tempo real digamos que a actuación. Entón, ele pregúntache como sintes esa colaboración coa música desde as imaxes.
Hai imaxes, escenas que son combinación, es un cortito de combinación, pois cando el canta a letra, eu teño esa combinación e adapto a velocidade como...
He has combinations knowing when there's a solo or there's a part of the lyrics, and he uses that particular scene. And he adapts the speed if he sees that's going to end or the next part is coming, so he rushes a little bit to punch the next one.
Hoxe tocamos 9 pezas.
We did nine pieces today. Eight. Bueno, some of them are diptychs, so yeah, whatever.
Desas pezas cortos de vídeo hai como 40.
He has 40 clips of video for those 8, 9, I don't know, tunes.
Hai certo grado de improvisación.
There's some degree of improvisation in the music we do. Like we vary the lengths of certain parts. Like maybe an intro takes over. Like I change. Like I changed I told David, okay, just give me a solo. Let me do a solo in Teixo, and I finally didn't do it. So he has to adapt. This is jazz, you know. He has to adapt to that.
E eso me fai sentir un pouco de estrés.
So he's a bit stressed with that.
Pero dende o principio, falando da outra intervención, sí que temos comentado moito a competición entre o sentido da vista e o sentido do ouvido.
But we talked a lot about the sense of sight and the sense of hearing during this project. We did talk a lot about that.
E como videoartista, sei que neste proxecto teño que renunciar a contar moito.
So in this project, he knows as a video artist that he has to renounce to a lot in this particular project because he cannot tell as much as he would in other projects because of the characteristics of this is more about listening, which is your critique, right?
Not critique.
Yeah. I'm totally cool with that. Yeah. I'm totally cool with that. It is from critiques that we grow. Yeah.
I think we as researchers, as I said in the beginning, should also learn this kind of being more interdisciplinary and so on.
Of course.
I mean, the challenge, but also the value.
I love it, and especially in my point of view is that especially people that are from a different world than the music world, it is really interesting to hear their experience and to hear their opinion because they're going to give you angles that nobody else would give you, and it's not really intelligent to. It's perfect what I do, you know. That's a stupid way of.
E de feito, cando facemos ou cando fixemos a proxección coa banda completa, hai momentos en donde non hai vídeo.
And sometimes with the complete band, like we left some places where there's only music, not video. But almost all the time video, but not everywhere.
Okay, that was enlightening. Thank you for this. And the follow-up is that it's also close to what Tobias asked before, is that the point of this whole gathering is for us to try and find the patterns of working together as a network, even though we're physically located in different places, and have tons of other boring responsibilities to do while this is a meaningful relationship we like to create. And you spoke about compartmentalization before and how knowledge and knowing is integrated. And I like how this is expressed in music because, especially in jazz, you're doing different things, you improvise a lot, but you have like the grounding of rhythm and harmony that brings you together and allows you to work like that. Mm-hmm. Would you say that an organization or a network can have rhythm and harmony, and how would that, work in? How would you see that worked in?
Wow, that's
how can we take more inspiration from that?
That's a really great question, and I totally believe that. I think that.
Abe is Greek. He's Greek.
Okay, good.
Greek.
Yeah, I do. That's a really nice question. I think I even go a step further. I think we tend generally to overemphasize the importance of the self, like the importance of the individual. I think theater, like Mario said, it will bring a different way of approaching economics. It has to, or we are fucked. That's it. That's basically it. And I think it will bring a different sense of collective. So it's like an organism of organisms, like the concept of the molecule is the same thing. And I think we are like that, like we are a bunch of bacteria. We have more bacteria than cells in our body. That's amazing. That fact is amazing. That fact is amazing. Like we are not ourselves. Like biologically, I think it's 60-40, the average. And 60 is stuff from outside. We eat. It's not ourselves, genetics. It's not genetics. We are 60% non-genetic. The creatures living in us, 60% are not from the genes. That fact is amazing. So we are already biologically like a system based on this. Like some people changed the definition of human being based on that, not long ago, like a couple of years ago. So answering your question, I would go on a step further. I think in collective settings, the very tone of our voice, the very melody, do-da-do-da-da-da, the rhythm we use, the diri-boo-ba, that says a lot more than we think it says. It says a tone, it says like, it can be hypnotic even, or it can be bizarre, it can be horrible. Imagine if I do this, the whole talk. There's something violent on my way of talking. I'm not projecting in a way, you know, I'm not being aware probably of what I say, how I say it, the how I say it, what it projects, what it brings to the collective. See my point? So of course I think that works in a collective setting, and sometimes it works with passive aggressiveness. Like theoretically we're all we want to work together in a net of experiences. That's really beautiful, and that's beautiful to say. But we all know how it is to be sitting in I don't want to answer this email. You know, we all know that. We all know that. So that takes a certain commitment and truthful. That's a part of my work in the last years was transcribing politicians, the music of politicians, of professional liars. So when you transcribe politicians, the rhythms, and I harmonize the speeches and I put rhythms to them. I did of liars and of really amazing activists. I did this transcription of Angela Davis in the 70s, and I had the honor of playing it for her in California 3 years ago in the Monterey Jazz Festival. I played it for her 40 years later. It was really an amazing experience. And I loved her, and that one speech I transcribed, like you can see, like it's really amazing, so musical. Like she speaks with this passion, and it's musical what she says. But if you transcribe Mariano Rajoy, for instance, he was the president of Galicia, or Cristina Cifuentes, she was like one of the most corrupt leaders in Madrid. It sounds like a fanfare. So there's music behind all our communications. And I think collective groups operate as a music group in a way. And you know, some people, like some economic gurus and some people that are into, you know, startups and really this alternative way of working. Oh yeah.
I was looking for the video to share with them.
Okay, yeah, nice. Yeah. Go, nice.
But YouTube is full of
sorry. So these people, you know, they like people who I lost my way. What was I about to say? Sorry, it's true. It's okay. Yeah, but what was it? What was it? I don't know. I lost my thread. I don't know. I don't know what I was going to tell you.
The prosodia. You were talking about the prosodia.
Yeah, but I don't know what part of it.
The liars. The liars has different, like a very fanfaric kind of.
Yeah.
Anyway, I share with you
that one. Yeah, that's fun to watch. But I think in the collective, I know what I was talking about. Like these gurus, these economic gurus, people from startups, they defend the way the collective they defend that the collective should work as a jazz band, not as a classical orchestra. And that has to do with hierarchy. And that's a good point, I think. Because we not only work as we don't only improvise, but we adapt. And that's something that is really important. Like we don't have like a script. We have a script, but the script is movable. We adapt it, we move it. We change the very essence of the script as we walk. And that's how a project is supposed to work, I think. A project is, and we were talking about criticism before, and we were talking about the downsides of things. A project has to mostly consider those sides, not escape from them, I think. But that's a really good question. I don't really have an answer. But.
Yeah, I mean, I want to thank you all for the performance, which was absolutely fascinating and beautiful and brilliant to watch. But also to thank Mario for inviting or facilitating this, because it's put us in a very different mode of knowledge production and thinking, I think, but very helpful as well. You know, you're talking about jazz bands and collectives, and we've been figuring out what we might do as a collective. So just to say thanks, first of all. I had a follow-up question about you said every artistic product is a fiction. And it sounds like you read a lot of academic products, as what we can call academic products. And I just wondered whether you viewed academic products with the same perspective as fictions, maybe a different genre, I don't know, or whether you viewed them differently. So that was prompted by that response to, I think, Anka's question.
Yeah.
My other thing I wanted to just ask you is just more, it's just more an observation I've had. This is my first time in Galicia, in Pontevedra. I've not been before. I was struck by how green, as your cover nicely illustrates, how green the region is. I expected it to be greener, but I didn't realize how green it would be. And one of the things I love about Pontevedra is just being here is the granite buildings and the greenery, and it's an aesthetic of the place, right? There's greenery growing out of all of these buildings, and I'm here for a post-growth, degrowth workshop. I think it puts me in mind of these things anyway. So I just wondered whether artistically, because you're from the region and you know the town, I guess, and you know the place, whether this aesthetic and these things had given you any inspiration for other pieces, or whether that is something you might think about. So that was my other thing. It's just something I've kind of noticed and enjoyed whilst I've been here, this kind of aesthetic.
Thank you. Yeah, Pontevedra is like a model, but Pontevedra, this particular city is like an island. You know, like the way it's integrated. It's not only the landscape or the way the green is integrated in the city, and I would say in the province, less in the province than in the city, in the particular city. It has also to do with the social model of the city. Yes, this project of the city is like a model for Galicia. The rest of Galicia is not quite like that. I mean, we have places that are kind of like that or have that side, and that's some of the criticism of Davide having to do with some not really good aspects of the traditional culture, like a really telling. But yeah, in the process, I really found a Galicia I didn't know in depth, traveling around, and I'm glad the images give you that impact. And I don't know. I think academic works are constructs more than fiction. I think fiction is a construct too, but fiction has an aspect, a Neptunian aspect to it, that probably some academic works might have that. That's why I love Neptune, the planet of imagination, the god of imagination, and drugs also, which come together usually. It's like positive polarity or less positive polarity, but it's the same with any of those mythological gods that are supposed to be the planets in the ancient world. But and in this process, this was like a work of imagination, with no boundaries at the beginning. So maybe in some academic works, and you were talking about that, about writing and taking in consideration the form, how do I write that? I mean, I don't think the division and this product is really a good example of that. I don't think that genre exists for real. I mean, it is really convenient to have genre, to know that there's a difference between poetry and music and dance. For me, these three things, good poetry has music in it and has dance in it, in the rhythm, right? That's dance. Good music has rhythm, which is dance, and has poetry, has words, even if it's instrumental. But it's really convenient to have genres. We kind of need them not to get lost, to have a sense of orientation. I guess some academic works can be fiction too. And I don't know, I'm open to ideas.
We need to wrap up, and there is some food downstairs.
Good.
I have a last question. One of the starting points, you can imagine our seminar between me and that discussion that we have between me and Abe and the rest of people. It's like, what the hell is going on here? One of the starting point of this workshop was the book by Georgios Kallis, Limits, no? That I gave to Abe, and also because he asked me about Jason Hickel and said, you should read another book, which is Limits. And the book, I don't know if you read it, but it starts with very nice metaphor about the piano, no? The fact that the piano is a limited number of keys, no? How many?
88.
88. And you cannot actually escape, right? There is a limit there. But with these 88 keys, you can play infinite music, infinite combination of melody and rhythm, right? So it's actually, for me, it's a metaphor, right, of our society, the planets, the ecosystem, that can be finite, but at the same time infinite. So my last question, and maybe we can share some food with you, and you can have more discussion with sure. The people here, if you like, and you three. How and what we can learn as a community of academics interested in post-growth and degrowth, or thinking about limits from music and from this big metaphor, no? That Georgios took from an Italian writer, and then the movie, the fantastic movie with Tim Roth about the 1900, no? And so what can we learn from music and from art in general?
I'll answer, and I'll ask them too to give an answer. In my opinion, the best person who put this was Igor Stravinsky. There's a quote by Stravinsky which is really amazing, that says that it is in limitation. I mean, it is limitation, the limits are the ones responsible for the creativity to appear. So only in limitation, real creativity appears. And in music, it makes a lot of sense. Like if they tell you, okay, you have to do a melody with these 3 notes. Only these 3 notes. If they give you all the notes you want to do a melody, you won't be as creative as if they give you just 3 notes to make the melody. And that's the same point of Georgios, kind of. But Stravinsky, he had it really clear, like, limitation brings out creativity. And I think that's very true, because if you just have 2-3 elements to do something with them, you'll find a way. And the last quote I want to read before I tell them the question is from a Qigong master. He's a guy from Vietnam. He lives in Germany. He's a really bright person. He's amazing. He has all the knowledge of the Buddhist tradition, but he's a Shaolin fighter. Both things. So he says, only intention mobilizes energy, and only the mobilization of energy creates something. And I think that's very true. Like, if you have an intention, like the Greeks called it ethos, right? The 3 parts of the rhetoric. Ethos, logos, pathos, right? The ethos in a way is like the intention or the ethics of the speech. So if you have an intention, that's what can mobilize energy to create something. So if right now the intention is about, okay, we have limitations, even though we've been doing things as if we didn't have boundaries, we do have them. So let's mobilize the energy to create something new, which is what we have to do. I mean, it's either new or not anymore. Those are the two choices, right? El di que é o que queremos que o movimento do decrecemento ou do post-crecemento é a encrucillada na que está o mundo agora mesmo en relación a esses temas, que pode aportar a música, a maneira na que a música funciona.
E a arte en xeral.
É arte en xeral.
Claro. Bueno, é a fuxida de tanta intelectualidade.
To escape from so much intellectuality.
E abandonarse un pouco pues, o prazer, as sensacións, ao vivir na presencia. A música te leva a esa sensación, a conectarte con ese momento da música.
To be present, to connect, to be in the particular moment where the music is taking place.
Deberíamos deixar máis as intelectualidades e estar máis no presente e máis no traballo e máis no disfrute das cousas da poesía, a filosofía, as cousas que realmente están, hai carencias agora mesmo e que necesitamos.
Should enjoy more the moment, more poetry, more philosophy, things that are not hip in the society right now and that he thinks they connect us with the here and with the now.
O sea, deixar de intelectualizar e sachar, realmente.
Okay, sachar is to work the land and not thinking that much. E Xacobe, ti que aportas? Música ou arte en xeral?
Sí, hai un filósofo francés, non me estaba intentando lembrarme agora do nome, pero seguro que coñecedes o que di. Dice que non creemos o que xa sabemos.
We don't believe what we already know. That's a French philosopher, he doesn't remember the name. We don't believe what we already know.
Entonces, o que aporta a arte é a transmisión xa non do coñecemento, porque o coñecemento está aí.
Art offers not only knowledge,
sino que o que intenta é transmitir a emoción.
That tries to transmit the emotion.
E nesa comunicación desa necesidade,
in the communication of that necessity,
de afrontar a vida, de protexer a vida de algún xeito, neste momento pode ser máis eficaz ou polo menos ser tan necesaria como aportar datos e coñecemento.
So he thinks music and art can be as necessary and as effective as data and knowledge in this particular moment in history.
Por exemplo, o que vivín en unha Galiza cando hai 20 anos me puxen a gravar por todas as aldeas cunha grabadora.
20 years ago when he started recording the ladies, the pandereteiras in the villages around Galicia.
As mulleres, casi o 99%, me decían que vivira unha vida de miseria absoluta, de machismo absoluto, de fame.
99% of the women told him that they left like a miserable life, full of sexism, full of misery.
De dor absoluta, de violacións cada día,
pain,
a todos os niveles.
Rapes.
E o único que lle salvaba, o único non era o traballo, nin era...
And the only thing that saved them,
o único era que cada xoves, cada venres e cada domingo se xuntaban na aldea para cantar xuntas.
It was the thing that saved them was that Thursdays, Fridays and Sundays they got together with their friends to sing and dance together.
Por eso sempre digo que si realmente este mundo ten unha salvación, que eu creo que non, vivir cada día e que pase lo que quiera,
if this world has a salvation that he thinks it doesn't,
realmente a salvación é a través da arte.
It can save itself through art.
Creo que é a única maneira.